Welcome to Chasing Tents. My name is Abby and welcome to a new episode which was requested big time for the last 6 years, which is bike upgrades. Now, this video will be divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is going to be all the upgrades I'm going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you. But then part 2 and 3 will be first half of the bike, well, front of the bike and the back of the bike, deciphering these upgrades, telling you a bit more about it, what works, what doesn't work. And this is not about Aprilia. These upgrades go for any bike really, because at the end of the day, clip-ons are clip-ons, you know, and anything else. So let's start. The fairing of the bike, all right, in general, this is extreme components fairing and a bike plast tank cover. Then the decals were done by a company called Sublime Designs. Dell, a lot of people know him in the UK and the company. I've done 2 videos for him. I'll put them below. You can have a look. Now, before I had the original livery with a 3M layer, a plastic layer, but I really had to move to this because I had a few crashes, and this isn't perfect as well because I've had another 2 crashes. Anyway, so the race seat, which is quite interesting, this race seat is from a company in Stoke-on-Trent called Bikers Racing. Very, very good race seat, probably the best I've ever had. You send them your seat in Stoke-on-Trent with no foam and they'll put this amazing grippy foam on it. It's absolutely brilliant. So this was just an overview. All right, let's start with the front of the bike. So first things first, the screen, absolutely amazing, MRA screen. All right, then we move on to, by the way, like I said before, I will decipher, talk all about the upgrades properly in part 2 and part 3. Right now, it's all about the upgrades. No one's got the attention span, otherwise I'm gonna make it 1 hour. All right. Number 2, BST carbon wheels with ceramic bearings, absolutely fabulous. This particular carbon wheel design is one of their oldest. A lot of R&D has gone into that. All right, now tires, Pirelli SC1 in the front. Öhlins forks, now these are FGR 165 racing front forks. From Öhlins. Then we've got the discs which are Brembo non-floating discs. I would recommend floating, but these are non-floating. Then we move on to lighter titanium nuts and bolts everywhere, pretty much everywhere. Wherever you can see a nut, it's most likely is a titanium or and lighter spindle. So a company was doing a spindle for the bike front. You don't really need a spindle made of titanium, but they were doing it. I bought lots of nuts and bolts for them and they were like, do you fancy a spindle? I did pay for it. Nothing is on this bike which is free. Everything gets paid for, nothing is sponsored. All right, then we move on to Accossato calipers, PZ005 with ventilated titanium pistons, absolutely brilliant. All right, I've done a detailed video with TBR Performance on these calipers. Race brake pads by Accossato. I've tried GPFAX, I've tried Vezra, Z04, SBS, I'll tell you all about it in part 2. Hell braided brake lines or brake hoses. Wheel axle protection. So if you see my axle protection, this is at the axle nut. And in the nut is based the axle protection. It's metal. So if you crash, basically, I mean, whenever I've crashed, I've damaged this Öhlins bit, and it's quite expensive from Öhlins. But this Melotti axle protection is absolutely brilliant from Italy. All right, top of the bike. Let's move on to the top. Now, first things first, lever protectors by ARP, very adjustable, love them. Okay, also clip-ons are racing ARP clip-ons, adjustable, fantastic. Then I2M Pro Dash, absolutely brilliant, lap times and everything. The only thing with the I2M is it's not as much like GoPro friendly, but it does all sorts of tricks and stuff. It can measure a heartbeat and everything. All right, let's move on to what's after I2M. Domino quick action throttle, absolutely fabulous with a white cam on it. I've done a video on that. I can put a link below. Then you've got Accossato Brake master cylinder, which is an adjustable master cylinder, which actually marries with the calipers I've got. Brembo reservoir bracket. So I've got a Brembo reservoir from a later Aprilia with a modified bracket, so it doesn't get in the way for my GoPro, which is through this ram mount system here. I've done videos on GoPro mounts. You can have a look at it on my channel. So I get a good view, and the actual reservoir is away. All right, middle of the bike, what we've got: carbon fiber crash covers on the chassis. So that's these ones. Trust me guys, if you do regular track days and you haven't put carbon protection on your chassis, you're going to get a lot of scratches and gravel rash. All right, GB protection on the casing. Love GB protection. And I also love the RNG bobbins. They've got double kind of bolt system, so all the pressure kind of gets absorbed kind of on a bigger area, surface area. All right, next one is Samco hoses, Spider oil filler cap, Extreme Component rear sets. Now this is quite interesting. My rear sets are from Extreme Components, however this is by ARP because I didn't like the footrest from Extreme Components. It was very sharp. We'll talk more about this in part 2. Then we've got IRC Auto Blipper, which has never given me too many problems. Another video coming up on that, especially on IRC Blipper. All-in TTX GP. So this is the race GP, not the one you get with the 2017 onwards bike. Then I've got Geel's shift shaft support, which is, if I can bring the camera here, I will show you the shift. A lot of people don't have this. You don't need to have this, but it's just there. It basically, when you crash, it gives you a bit of a protection, so this doesn't snap, and you've got a crispier gear change. We'll talk more about that in part 2. Lithium battery, which is Shido. Have I missed anything in the middle of the bike? No. Performance wise, okay, I've got a super stock ECU. So when I bought this bike 2016, so this is a 2015 RSV4 RF limited edition, but 2016, late 2016, early 2017, I think I bought it. No one could tune Aprilias, no one, all right? Very few people had the right stuff. So I went with Gabbro in Italy, sent him the ECU. I moved from Gabbro, there was nothing wrong with Gabbro. I moved from that to a Kropovich map, but what I've been told, that the super stock ECU map for the Aprilia is really good, as the electronics are not as intrusive. All right, so that's one thing I've done. And then it's got 178 bhp, 83 torques, sprint air filter. Now this is quite funny. This is a P08F1-85. If you look at the price of this air filter, it'll blow your head off. £230 for an air filter. It was an error, which I'll explain in part 2. It's a MotoGP filter, what Sprint call it. Trust me, that's what they call it, because Sprint work with Aprilia in MotoGP. What else we've got? MotoGP style air filter, oil 5W40, Motul every time, and genuine oil filter. Rear of the bike, very important. Carbon crash covers on the swing arm, just like the chassis. Got the swing arm there. A Kropovich slip-on. This is not a full system. This is a slip-on, and the flap, I've just opened it inside. Carbon BST wheels with the ceramic bearing. Metzeler TD slick at the back, which I really love. Lightweight disc. Got titanium spindle again at the back. Tsubaki chain. So the chain is Tsubaki, TSU actually, Tsubaki, and Melotti axle protection here. Again, great crash protection, and it also acts as a nut. Whenever I've had a crash, I really had no damage at the back. Over suspension device, I mean, if you don't know what over suspension device is, it's everywhere. It's actually on MotoGP bikes now. Not over suspension, but their own version of it. I've done a full video on it. I've done 2-3 videos on it, but I will do another video, a follow-up, because I think I've had this since 2020 and a video is due. All right, what? Harris bobbins for the paddock stands. And to be honest, these are the upgrades. I've tried to do it as soon as quickly as I can. Oh, WRS switches, by the way, I didn't mention that. WRS switches, a rain light, domino grips. Yeah, that's about it really. I really love this bike. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not looking for a 200 plus bhp bike. 178 is more than enough. What are the next upgrades for this bike? Now you would think, bloody hell, you've got everything on this bike, what else could you want? The only thing I would love is a quick wheel change kit in the front and back. This is it. So these are all the upgrades, but don't forget to watch part 2 and part 3, where I will actually take my time explaining to you the front of the video and the rear. And one last thing, and very important thing, I must dedicate this 3-part series of video to my friend Gogo Gomez, who did everything on this bike. Everything you see on this bike, every part which has been fitted was done by Gogo. He is sadly no more with us. He passed away on a road ride with us when we were going through a European road ride through Slovenia to Croatia, and sadly he died. And there's not a day when I don't miss him. And that guy, every time I crashed, he repaired my bike, and every single upgrade I bought, he installed it on this bike. I absolutely miss him. Anyways, we'll see you in part 2 and part 3. Do watch it. I explain every single upgrade in detail, which will help you to choose what you need to buy. And by the way, guys, this video or any other videos are not sponsored by anyone. I don't get no sponsorship. I buy everything myself. Thank you for watching. Look after yourself. Cheers.